Good evening. I would like to call a May 13th, 2019 Bellbrook City Council meeting to order. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Edwards.
Here.
Mr. Greenwood.
Here.
Mr. McGill.
Here.
Mrs. Middlestetter.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Schwaller.
Here.
Mayor Baird.
Here. May I have a motion to excuse Mrs. Seeger Lawson this evening?
Motion to excuse Mrs. Seeger Lawson.
May I have a second?
Second.
Nick. Roll call.
A motion was made by Mr. McGill to excuse Mrs. Seeger Lawson from tonight's meeting. This was seconded by Mr. Edwards. Mr. McGill.
Yes.
Mr. Edwards.
Yes.
Mr. Greenwood.
Yes.
Mrs. Middlestetter.
Yes.
Mr. Schwaller.
Yes.
Mayor Baird.
Yes. Formal approval of regular meeting minutes of April 22nd, 2019. Does any member on council have any corrections or additions to the regular city council meeting minutes of our last meeting?
No, Mayor.
No, Mayor.
Seeing none, the minutes are approved as written. Mayor's announcements. We have a number of very special guests this evening, and we have a pretty long agenda on the mayor's announcements. We're going to first start with Chris Ewing from the Bellbrook Sugar Creek Chamber of Commerce. I think she's going to talk about our garage sale, which is a very big weekend in the city of Bellbrook and Sugar Creek Township.
Yep. I'm Chris Ewing. I'm the director of the Bellbrook Sugar Creek Area Chamber of Commerce. We are located at 51 South East Street, and that's at the Sugar Creek Elementary Building. That's where all the community organizations are located now. This is a big week. It's the community garage sale. It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 16, 17, 18. We have 110 garage sales signed up. And normally we get another 10 to 20 that don't sign up but just raise their doors and put signs out. You're allowed to put signs wherever you want over the course of these 3 days, but we ask on Saturday that you remove them so that the city and the township don't have to run around and do that for you. So if you do put signs up, please make sure you take them up on Saturday. The list is compiled and it is on our website, bellbrooksugarcreekchamber.com. Just go to events, garage sale, and it's a PDF, print it, and you'll have it. If you don't have the availability to do that, we will have printed lists at DOTS, the library, and Old Fort Bank. In addition, there will be some maps at the library for anybody who doesn't know, that's not familiar with our community. Also, Saturday is the Garden Club plant sale from 9 to 1. And if you need any kind of perennials or any plants for your yard, get there early because they sell out really quickly. But that's in front of Sugar Creek Elementary from 9 to 1 on Saturday. Also, Saturday is the Bellbrook High School graduation, 5 o'clock at Trent Arena. And also, now moving to June, we have the Riverfest, which is Saturday, June 8th. And most people don't know about this. This is the date that the Parks Department, Little Miami River Cleaners, and several other partner groups get together, and they have kayaks and canoes, and they go out on the Little Miami and clean it. They pull out tires, washing machines, cars. You cannot believe what they pull out of the river. So then at noon, you meet at Bellbrook Park. So all the people who participate in that, as well as the public, is invited from 12 to 3 at Bellbrook Park for, they have all sorts of tables and vendors. The police will have a table there. The chamber, there's ODNR, all the parks. There's a lot of neat things there. They will also have food. They have food that's free for any of the public that wants to come. So that's 12 to 3 on Saturday, June 8th. Then mark your calendars for our Pet Expo, which is Saturday, August 10th. That's in conjunction with the Bellbrook Farmers Market, which is also 9 to 1. Ours will be 9 to 12. That's also at Sugar Creek Elementary in the grassy area in front of the school building. We will have 26 vendors that are pet friendly and people friendly. Bring your dogs, cats, I guess, if they'll come down there. But anyways, there will be the bird farm. We have a lot of different things for people to do, a lot of freebies, giveaways. Also, Sugar Creek Elementary will be having an open house that day so that the community can come into the building and see all the organizations that are actually using that building at this time. So that will be Saturday, August 10th. Look for more information on that coming up. And then mark your calendars for our golf outing, which is Thursday, September 19th at Sugar Valley Golf Club. Once again, the Pet Expo and the golf outing, garage sale, all that's on our website. Also want to advertise, there's a Wednesday morning networking group, and if you're part of a business or an organization, I would urge you to come to this. It's 8 o'clock on Wednesday mornings at Bellhop Cafe, and there's wonderful camaraderie and make a lot of new friends and networking and a chance to just get to meet some additional people and promote your business. And that's 8 a.m. at Bellhop Cafe on Wednesday. So if you need any other information, just check the chamber website, bellbrooksugarcreekchamber.com.
Thank you very much, Chris. A lot of exciting things going on with the chamber and our area. Moving on, I would like to introduce our police chief, Mr. Doug Daughtery. He's going to start with some police awards this evening.
Thank you, Mayor. We're going to start off. This is an important day for us. It's the start of Police Week for us, so it's appropriate that we're here tonight to celebrate some of our achievements. If I could start with Jim Burns. We're going to do awards. Stand right here. The first award is for Officer Jim Burns. So this past year has been full of change for us and the members of the Bellbrook Police Department. Because of these changes, we needed officers to take a more significant role. One of these officers that rose to this challenge when called upon was Officer Jim Burns. In shifting our manpower needs, we needed to have an officer take on a leadership role for the midnight shift. Officer Jim Burns stepped up and gave us what we needed, a leader. Officer Burns is not shy in sharing his opinion, nor does he shrink when it comes to making difficult decisions. In addition, Officer Burns has been a longtime OLC representative for his fellow officers on the Ohio Labor Council representative during contracts and any labor management issue. These are just a few examples of the leadership Officer Jim Burns provides. So, with that being said, I would like to offer Officer Jim Burns this certificate for leadership, suitable for framing, and a ribbon for your dress jacket. It's a maroon ribbon surrounded with silver representing his work as an officer. So I give that to you, sir. You're welcome, sir. You're welcome. We'll be back. Yes. We'll be back. If I could have our annual fitness awards we did this year. So instead of inviting everybody up, I'm going to invite the three newest people up here that had yet to win this award. So I will invite Lieutenant Steve Carman, Officer Jim Burns, and Officer Tony Rubel. Please hold your applause to the end. So this year's fitness challenge was, we wanted to get back to a baseline so we could kind of build up from a normal thing. We didn't want to make it too advanced, but this year's challenge was 10 push-ups, 200-yard run, 10 push-ups, 200-yard run, 10 push-ups, 200-yard run. So we did that, and I would like to just commend each of you.
I'm lucky I'm still standing here.
Yes.
Sure, I can do that.
Nice work. And it should be noted, Officer Tony Rubel advised me just here recently that this is the first of many of his fitness ribbons, so we look forward to seeing him up here in the future. So, thank you. Thank you all for The next award is our Officer of the Year award. The Officer of the Year this year is going to be, if I could have Lieutenant Carman stand up here with me, please. Yes, up here. So, Lieutenant Carman has served faithfully to the Bellbrook Police Department and to this community for over 22 years. Lieutenant Carman is a resident of Bellbrook and is very community-oriented in his approach to policing. Lieutenant Carman works both as an administrator and also works as a frontline officer taking calls and handling complaints. I can tell you that is very rare. Lieutenant Carmen is responsible for keeping our department up to date with the Ohio Collaborative for Law Enforcement, which is only a small percentage of police agencies throughout the Ohio that meet these standards. I can tell you that I rely on Lieutenant Carmen, Steve, to be able to handle many tasks. He performs and completes these tasks at a very high level. I'm lucky to have him working with me every day. He helps make us a better organization. I've been involved in giving this type of an award 20 years or so, from going back to Xenia. And very deserving. Thank you. He was also given a ribbon for his jacket, dress jacket, a yellow ribbon signifying Officer of the Year, with gold trim signifying being command. So,
Wow, thank you. When Chief Doherty told me I was going to be receiving this, I was extremely surprised. I have to say I can't do this without the help of my team, all my officers here. So I have to share all of this with you for all your hard work, because I couldn't do this without you guys. So for my officers, my new sergeants, Jim, Keith, where are you? Detective Tony, thank you. Sending records, thank you. It's a team effort, and you make my job easier for how hard you work. So thank you. Special thank you to my chief. Doug, I'm sorry, this is just means a lot to me. To have a leader who helps me do my job at a higher level, who's had infinite patience with me to become a better lieutenant, and I think a better person overall too. Thank you, Chief. Welcome.
all right.
I'm actually gonna butt in.
Okay, that's right.
I'm cutting in. First, I would like to congratulate all the officers who won awards this year, especially the lieutenant. Thank you all very much for what you do for the city of Bellbrook. It definitely makes it a better and safer city to live in. So thank you all very much. Does anyone on council have anything to add to that before we move on?
What more is there to say?
100% agreement, Bob.
Moving on, we have a city manager accommodation.
So I slid this in here for the Spirit of Police Week, and I'd like to have Chief Doherty and Officer Rubel come up. So this is the first time that I've done this, and I've got a letter of commendation that I would like to give Officer Rubel and Chief Doherty. So I'm going to read the letter, and I'm going to have to kind of modify this because each letter is tailored to the individual, so I'm going to try to do this collectively. So it's for the same thing. So here goes. As city manager for the city of Bellbrook, I would like to formally commend Chief Douglas Doherty and Officer Tony Rubel for their exemplary community service efforts. In recent weeks, Chief Doherty and Officer Rubel have personally devoted their time outside of their work responsibilities to assist one of our elderly residents. They have personally provided their own resources on a number of occasions to support her in her recent times of need. This demonstration of kindness, caring, and community should therefore be recognized and applauded. It is not often that individuals devote so much personally to those in need in their own community. The fact that this has been done not on one occasion but multiple occasions validates the compassionate individuals that Chief Doherty and Officer Tony Rubel are. As a city manager, I could not be more appreciative and proud of the team members that Chief Doherty and Officer Rubel are. Their efforts should provide a model example of what Bellbrook appreciates in their police officers. Community is the backbone of what we are all here for, and I am thankful to have such wonderful individuals such as Chief Doherty and Officer Rubel be a champion for that on the behalf of the city of Bellbrook. So thank you.
Okay. Moving along, thank you very much. That was very thoughtful. And helping Edna May, that's who that is we've kind of been working with her for the last 5 years since I've been here, and it is enjoyable to help her. So about that. If I could have Officer Jim Burns step forward, please.
Chief, you want me to do my part first?
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
Just checking.
Yep, yes, yes. I was just easy up here.
Mr. Burns, congratulations. Mr. Burns will be our newest sergeant with the Bellbrook Police Department, and I'm going to swear Mr. Burns in. Would you please raise your right hand and repeat after me? I, James Burns, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and will obey the laws
will obey the laws
thereof,
thereof,
and I will,
and I will,
in all respects,
in all respect,
uphold and enforce
uphold and enforce
the provisions of the Charter
the provisions of the Charter
and the ordinances of the City of Bellbrook,
and ordinances of the City of Bellbrook,
and will faithfully discharge
will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duty of the office
for which I'm about to enter.
for which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Signature, and then I will let the chief have you next.
Okay, to make this official, with respect to the mayor, we will have Sergeant Burns' wife pin him with the new badge. Here's
Got an instruction sheet over there, Chief?
All right. Fantastic.
Just to say thanks, and I appreciate the opportunity, Chief, and I'll certainly do the best I possibly can. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
A man of many words. We warned about that. Okay, so,
Chief, may I interrupt?
Yes.
One more time.
yes, your turn.
We're changing the agenda around a little bit, so we need to do some maintenance work, let's say. May I have a motion to move Resolution 2019M under Mayor's announcements and special guests?
So moved.
Mike and
I'll second.
roll call.
Mr. Schwaller made a motion to move the reading of Resolution 2019-M to the special guest section of tonight's meeting. This was seconded by Mr. McGill. Mr. Schwaller?
Yes.
Mr. McGill?
Yes.
Mr. Edwards?
Yes.
Mr. Greenwood?
Yes.
Mrs. Middlestetter?
Yes.
Mr. Baird?
Yes. The stage is yours, Chief.
Okay. So, resolution for the.
Oh, Miguel's gonna
We can-
read that.
We'll go ahead and present the resolution now.
Yes.
So, while we're here, we'll go ahead and adopt Resolution 2019. Mr. McGill?
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution 2019-M, City of Bellbrook. A resolution presenting the family of Officer Brian Mead with his badge and service weapon and providing for release of claims relating to said weapon. And it really should be Sergeant Mead, I believe. Whereas Sergeant Mead has completed his service with the City of Bellbrook, and whereas the mayor and city council desire to honor his service by carrying on the tradition of awarding a retiring officer his or her service weapon and badge, now therefore the City of Bellbrook hereby resolves, Section 1, that the ownership of a Sig Sauer model P226 .40 caliber handgun, serial number U-Union 836144, be transferred from the City of Bellbrook to his wife Claudette Renee Mead, and upon the receipt of release of claims, Exhibit A, attached here too, relating to the transfer, possession, or use of the former service weapon. Section 2, that Sergeant Brian Mead shall further be honored for his service with the presentation of his police officer's badge And it's with great appreciation for his service to the citizens of the city of Bellbrook that we present his badge and service weapon to the family. Section 3, that this resolution shall take effect and be enforced forthwith. Attached here too is a release agreement which relates to the weapon and the transfer, same such. Before I go, I'd like to say that Sergeant Meade was a true professional within this organization and to the city here, and we will greatly miss him. Thank you.
Any discussion on council?
Well deserved.
I would agree. Seeing no discussion, may I have a motion to adopt resolution 2019-M?
I propose a resolution to adopt 2019 M, please.
May I have a second?
Second it.
And roll call.
A motion was made by Mr. McGill to adopt Resolution 2019-M, a resolution presenting the family of Officer Brian Meade with his badge and service weapon and providing for a release of claims related to said weapon. This was seconded by Mrs. Middlestetter. Mr. McGill?
Yes.
Mrs. Middlestetter?
Yes.
Mr. Edwards?
Yes.
Mr. Greenwood?
Yes.
Mr. Schweller?
Yes.
Mayor Baird?
Yes. Once again, Chief, the stage is yours.
We'll be back to you here in a second. Thank you, everybody. For our next presentation, could I have Officers Rubel and Vetter come forward, please? And from the Meade family, can we have Renee, Kayla, and Andrew come forward? You guys will just stand right up here for us. So, we thought it was appropriate to be able to present Brian's badges to his children and to his wife, and then his wife, this is a shadow box display case that has his service weapon. So. And in addition, we have each sergeant's badge that Brian wore for each of his children. Say anything if you want. Okay, it's up to you. If you want to say something.
Thank you. I really didn't prepare anything. I really didn't know exactly what we were expecting tonight, but I want to thank each one of you for the many years that you supported Brian and you encouraged Brian and you gave Brian an opportunity to grow wings. And I believe that he truly loved this city. He loved his job. And he considered all of you family. So thank you again for your thoughtfulness in our everyday here and in his illness and since his passing. Our family greatly appreciates everything that you've done, everyone in the community. The chief is an outstanding man. You're very fortunate. So thank you.
Thanks, Renee. Thanks, guys. So, one of the things that that came to me during this time of change for us was how do we incorporate the Meade family with the Bellbrook Police Department. We've done some things here. There's going to be a flagpole dedicated outside to Brian. There's a plaque in our assembly room for him. But the thing that we thought was kind of neat was to have Eric, his brother, sworn as our chaplain. That way, the connection lives on. So, if I can have the mayor step up, I have the oath of office. Eric, if you'd step up here, please, sir.
Nice. Very nice.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly promise that you will faithfully and diligently perform the duties of police chaplain for the City of Bellbrook Police Department, and will you provide comfort and spiritual support to the officers of these departments and to the citizens of the community as you are called upon?
I will.
Will you strive to set exemplary standard of ethical and moral conduct by not using your position of police chaplain to persuade or to gain personal advantage, and you will provide comfort and spiritual support to all persons without bias toward religion, affiliation, gender, orientation, race, national origin, age, or any other such distinction? Will you strive to set an exemplary standard of ethical and moral conduct?
I will.
Will you acknowledge those appointed in a position of authority within this department and serve them with loyalty? And will you, by support of the officers with whom you serve, and will you be subject to their authority when on duty, and will you accept the responsibility willingly and without reservation, so help you God?
I will.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Before we turn the mic over to another representative of the Meade family who loves to orate, if I could have your lovely wife come up and pin this badge. We have a badge present to you, Bellbrook City Police Chaplain badge. So you saw how it was done earlier. So.
That's so nice.
He's a comedian too.
Chaplain, welcome, sir.
Thank you, Chief. Mayor Baird, City Council, Chief Doherty, Bellbrook Police Department, citizens here this evening, my family. Tremendous privilege and honor for me to be able to serve Bellbrook Police Department and by extension the City of Bellbrook in this capacity. I really can't express how much it means to me. I am here to support. I'm here to help in any way I possibly can. And to be able to have a connection with the police department, with the city, that, as my sister-in-law said, meant so much to my brother Brian. It just means so much. And I also want to say I truly appreciate the dedication of the flagpole that will take place and the different things that you are doing to keep Brian's memory alive. When Brian saw that his time here on earth was coming to a close, he kept saying, "Don't forget about me. Don't forget about me." And if you knew Brian Meade, he's not the kind of person you can forget about. And so I know he'll always be in my heart, my family's heart, and I know he will always be a part of the Bellbrook Police Department in this city. So thank you all tonight so much. God bless you. Thank you.
Okay, so that wraps up our presentations for tonight. I appreciate the time that you've given us and, as always, the support that you give us every day. So I appreciate it. On behalf of the Bellbrook Police Department and everybody that's here, we thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
I'd just like to thank the chief and the Meade family for coming out tonight to recognize Brian. He was a great officer, a great servant to our community. So thank you all for coming out and showing your respects at the ceremony this evening. Feel free to leave. We got further business to do. There's a lot in here. I'm pretty sure you don't want to stick around for all that. You are on camera right now, so, but they're all out here, so I don't think you'll be in the shot too much. So thank you all very much for coming out this evening.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
We'll give just a few seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, moving on with tonight's agenda, we have two public hearing of ordinances this evening. We will start with ordinance number 2019-10. Mrs. Middlestetter.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance number 2019-10, an ordinance amending section 14.15 Bellbrook Village Plan, review procedure of the City of Bellbrook zoning code. Whereas the City of Bellbrook zoning staff routinely identifies sections of the zoning code that should be clarified, updated, and/or completely changed. And whereas the city staff is recommending amendments to section 14.15 review procedure based on adherence to the Ohio open meetings laws. And whereas the city staff is also reorganizing section 14.15 review procedure to align subsections accurately. And whereas all amendments to the zoning code must be approved by ordinance. Now therefore, the City of Bellbrook hereby ordains Section 1 that the amendments to the Bellbrook zoning code attached hereto be approved with deletions shown by brackets and strike-through and additions shown by italics and underlined. Section 2, that this ordinance shall take effect and be enforced from and after the earliest period provided by law.
So basically, the first thing that was done was any of the sign reviews that come through, it said that the Village Review Board could approve those via email or any electronic means, and so we changed that since that's not in accordance with open meetings laws. We changed that so that the zoning inspector, it's referenced as the zoning inspector, but it's actually our planning and zoning assistant can actually just go ahead and do those. So if they all conform to the code, then that approval can be given at the staff level instead of by electronic means, which is outside of open meetings laws. And then some of the sections or some of the subsections of this article were actually kind of out of order. So I know that the clerk took some time to try to reorganize that just so that it read a little bit better. So, but the main change was just that the zoning inspector could approve those sign requests.
Questions or discussion on council?
Something about increasing the time.
Yes, there was, I'm sorry. If somebody put in an application, it said that a hearing would be held within 14 days, and we did change that to 30 days, just because that's in line with what we'd been doing, because the meetings are typically scheduled at the first of the month, so 14 days isn't necessarily in line with that, but 30 days would be.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me of that.
Any other questions on council?
That makes sense, perfect sense.
This is a public hearing, so if anyone in the audience would like to get up and give comments or questions, you will have 5 minutes, and you need to say your name and address. Joe? No? Going once? Going twice? Seeing none, I call this public hearing closed. May I have a motion to approve ordinance number 2019-10?
I move to approve ordinance 2019-10.
May I have a second?
A second.
And roll call.
A motion was made by Mrs. Middlestetter to adopt ordinance 2019-10, an ordinance amending section 14.15 Bellbrook Village Plan Review Procedure. This was seconded by Mr. Edwards. Mrs. Middlestetter?
Yes.
Mr. Edwards?
Yes.
Mr. Greenwood?
Yes.
Mr. McGill?
Yes.
Mr. Schweller?
Yes.
Mr. Baird?
Yes. Moving on, ordinance number 2019-11. Mr. Greenwood.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance number 2019-11, an ordinance adopting the revised City of Bellbrook Personnel Manual. Whereas the City of Bellbrook periodically reviews its personnel policies and procedures, and whereas the city has made revisions to the personnel manual that incorporates these policies and procedures, and whereas the city desires to adopt the revised personnel manual. Now therefore, the City of Bellbrook hereby ordains. Section 1, that the revised personnel manual attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference, setting forth personnel policies and procedures for employees of the City of Bellbrook is hereby adopted. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect and be in force from and after the earliest period provided by law.
So this is regularly reviewed. There were a few things that were changed. There were actually 7 sections. So if you look in your packet that's attached to the actual ordinance, there is a summary of employee manual changes. And actually Pam put this together, so I can thank her for this. So it gives the section, the title, the page number, so that it's an easy reference to see what the changes were, all on almost one page, but a little over one page. So some of them are very minor tweaks. Some are a little bit more substantial. The hours of work, I have meal periods outlined in here. Every department, there wasn't anything that was outlined before, and it was very inconsistently applied. So I did put that in writing in terms of meal periods to be in line with what many of the departments have already been operating under, just without it being documented, so that it's fair towards all employees. Then there is the section on overtime pay and compensatory time off. That makes the maximum compensatory time which can be accrued go from 120 to 80 hours. Council was aware of the large number of payouts that happened last year, and this is a opportunity to try to help mitigate some of that risk. We paid out over $100,000 in payouts last year as a result of some of these policies. So this is one that was changed this go around. There's going to be research into some of the other policies. The other change that was notable was the vacation leave. Currently, people are accredited their vacation leave after the fact, either on their anniversary date or on the first of the year. And any of our new hires are going a full year without the ability to take any time off. So employees that aren't able to accrue overtime or use that as comp time, they don't get any time off. So that's not a very fair approach. So I changed that so that each employee would now go to a bi-weekly accrual rate, much like our sick leave is. So those are the most notable changes in the manual.
Questions on council? I know we talked about this a little bit at our last meeting.
Yes.
Good changes.
Yeah.
I have a question here. With respect to the changes that go directly to the length of service and that, are these contemplated by the collective bargaining agreements that we currently have in place, or will they be discussed at that time?
The collective bargaining agreements are up. It's either June or July of 2020. So
Okay.
if it's not in the personnel policy manual, then it couldn't be used at that time to be able to work with the union negotiations. So this is the first step to get to everybody being in line, hopefully.
Okay.
So this would just apply to non-contract employees at this
Okay.
point, with the hope that it will be
With the hope
applied
that it
consistently.
will filter down there to the collective bargaining side.
Correct.
Okay.
Does not affect the bargaining. Any other questions on council?
I just have one on meal periods. Scheduling is also subject to approval. Is that for lunch? Or
Yes.
the supervisor sets a time? for that?
Yes, yes, based on their workload and schedules, and that's what they've been doing. So sometimes it just isn't warranted, so they've been able to adjust if they're in the middle of projects or other things that would require them not to be away from their work.
Any other questions, comments on council?
of sensible changes.
This is a public hearing. If anyone in the audience would like to come up, you just please announce your name, address, and you have 5 minutes. Going once. Going twice. I call this public hearing closed. May I have a motion to approve ordinance number 2019-11?
I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance number 2019-11, Mayor.
May I have a second?
Second.
And roll call.
A motion was made by Mr. Greenwood to adopt ordinance 2019-11, an ordinance adopting the revised City of Bellbrook Personnel Manual. This was seconded by Mr. Schweller. Mr. Greenwood.
Yes.
Mr. Schweller.
Yes.
Mr. Edwards.
Yes.
Mr. McGill.
Yes.
Mrs. Middlestetter.
Yes.
Mr. Baird.
Yes. Moving on, we have one resolution this evening, resolution approving an agreement for employment of a municipal attorney. I think you saw a contract in there. I think one thing I always look at right away is the how much do they cost. I know we had a very good deal at $100 and some an hour. This is a little more expensive, but still in the world of attorneys today, I think very reasonable. I will let the city manager comment a little more.
So this is in line with what we're paying for our personnel attorney also. So the attorney in the firm that we're going with is Amy Blankenship, who council was introduced to a few meetings ago at a work session. And she's with the law firm of Coolidge Wall. Her background is municipal law, so she's the law director for the city of Beaver Creek. She's also for the city of Oxford, Ohio. And she has a wealth of experience. She's very knowledgeable in this area, and she's somebody that I've worked with in the past and that I've come to have a great working relationship with. And having her as part of our resources in terms of our municipal attorney also gives us access to a number of other attorneys in the firm. If she's not able to figure something out, she can easily call in somebody very quickly to be able to get an issue sorted out. And with some of the things that we've bumped up against recently, I think that having somebody that's very astute in municipal law is very helpful for us.
I would agree that she is very good, and it's good to have additional asset, and we're paying by the hour, so it'll only need to be called upon when necessary. And any questions, comments?
Mayor, I actually heard her speak at a elected officials conference many years ago, and that was kind of the stimulus of Bellbrook having separate email addresses for all the city council members.
Yep.
But she's a good gal. I heard her speak a couple of times. She does a good job, and we don't give her that many hours, do we? I
No,
didn't think it was a super high-paying job as far as
It's
how many
not.
hours, but yeah.
Some cities require that their municipal attorney is at every single meeting,
Yeah,
and unfortunately, well, fortunately for us, I should say, we just don't have the type of dealings that would require something like that. So it's just on an as-needed basis. So some months I don't have to talk to one at all.
Yeah.
Some months you have to have several calls in a day.
It's good to have somebody with her experience of working with us.
Yeah. I don't know that we want to pay $165 an hour to have someone here at every meeting.
No.
Nor is there probably
No.
a necessity, especially if we're reviewing everything, which I know we are. Any other questions, comments on council? Seeing none, may I have a motion to adopt resolution 2019-L?
Mayor, I think I need to read it into the record first
Yep.
before we can adopt.
Okay.
If I'm,
Mr. Edwards, I apologize.
that's okay. I just want to get my.
I think we probably need to do that.
Okay. Resolution number 2019-L, a resolution approving an agreement for the employment of the municipal attorney, whereas Section 7.09 of the Bellbrook City Charter requires appointment of the municipal attorney, and whereas Amy Blankenship is an attorney at law admitted to the practice of law in the state of Ohio and is in good professional standing, and whereas Amy Blankenship has an office located in Dayton, Ohio, and whereas the city's agreement with the current municipal attorney will expire June 30th, 2019. Now therefore, the city of Bellbrook hereby resolves, Section 1, that the attached one-year agreement for the employment of Amy Blankenship as municipal attorney for the city of Bellbrook effective July 1st, 2019 is hereby approved. Section 2, that this resolution shall take effect and be enforced forthwith. Okay. Are we ready for a motion on it?
I think so. Do we have a motion to adopt resolution 2019-L?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 2019-L.
May I have a second?
Second.
And roll call.
Motion was made by Mr. Edwards to adopt Resolution 2019-L, a resolution approving an agreement for the employment of the municipal attorney, seconded by Mr. McGill. Mr. Edwards?
Yes.
Mr. McGill?
Yes.
Mr. Greenwood?
Yes.
Mrs. Middlestetter?
Yes.
Mr. Schweller?
Yes.
Mr. Baird?
Yes. Moving on, city manager's report.
Okay, so just to piggyback off of the last resolution, I do want to make it known that our previous municipal attorney, Patricia Campbell, did an excellent job for us, and she was an absolute joy to work with. So after speaking with her about the direction that I was going, she was very supportive. Her own law firm has really grown, and so this was actually kind of a good thing and actually very timely that we were able to kind of go a different direction so that she was able to free up some time for her firm that she was regularly spending with us. Some of the other things that were notable: on April 25th, the mayor and I went to Green Giving's annual luncheon, and we received a $1,000 grant for the purchase of a bench. So they've got their plaque on a bench that's downtown, and we got a large check, which is in my office, and one of my proudest possessions, might I add, because it's not often you get a giant check.
Giant fake check.
A giant fake check, yeah. I almost took it to the bank just to see what reaction I would get, but I didn't. So I do want to give an update. So at our last meeting, council gave me the approval to go ahead and submit a community development block grant to Greene County Commissioners, and we found out on Friday that we got it. So that's really exciting. So very good, very good. So that is for $35,177. So that is going to add sidewalk. As a portion of the proceeds, or a portion of that grant, is going to go for a full project, which is going to be ADA compliant ramps and domes, and the addition of sidewalk and curbing along Northwest Street to the west side of the Road Dog Marathon Station. So that's going to be a huge bonus for that area to get pedestrians back to the plaza. So I'm really excited about that. So I will keep you all updated on that. One thing that I should note is that our next regularly scheduled meeting would be on Memorial Day. So with the agenda being much lighter, if council would like to cancel that meeting, or we could always move it, but we don't really have any pressing agenda items at this point. So
I would recommend we cancel, and if necessary business comes up, we schedule a special meeting.
Sure.
I agree.
And then I did schedule our downtown assessment. So that's going to be held over the course of 2 days. It's going to be June 13th and 14th. I'm going to pass around to everybody. This is the schedule that I've worked out. So the items that are in yellow, I would like for council to try to attend. The most important items for council to attend would be Thursday the 13th. There would be a 6 p.m. meeting with council and planning board, VRB, Property Review Commission / BZA. So all of the decision-making bodies of the city would get together and just kind of discuss some of the things, some of the policy strategies that can be implemented in order to create a stronger downtown. So it'll be good for everybody to participate that can. And then there's going to be a community forum and discussion. So there will be a presentation given to the community about why revitalization efforts are important, what they can do for a community, and some of the things that we can do as a community as a whole to move things forward. So I think that will be a really interesting presentation. It will be a format in which people are able to ask questions. Questions will be asked of the community to get some feedback in order to help us develop a plan to move forward. So I would like for council to be able to hopefully be able to participate at least the night of the 13th. On the 14th, there's going to be at 8 a.m. that Friday morning a community leaders meeting. So that'll be a more informal small group where people are able to get together and kind of discuss revitalization efforts in downtown and what we see as a group, our strengths and our weaknesses, and some things like that for the team to be able to assess and be able to help write recommendations for. And then there will also be a lunch where it would be a small group with myself. So I just wanted that to just be myself and maybe a couple of interested council members. So council can participate as much that they're available in these things. Those were just the highlighted time slots that I thought that would be important for at least anybody to put on their calendar that it's going to work out for. So these 2 days, this first visit, these 2 days are just going to be an assessment and gathering information and things like that. And then there will be another visit. I think it's scheduled for July. I'm not sure if we've set the date yet, where a report would be given in a presentation that would talk about some recommendations, some things that we can do from a policy level, and then also from just a number of things that we could do and options that we would have before us in order to move the community forward in terms of our downtown efforts. So they're going to be looking at our zoning code, they'll look at our ordinances, they'll look at our comprehensive plan, and really take all of that information to really help us develop a customized action plan to move forward with some of these things. So I felt it was important to bring somebody in that has expertise, because I'm not real sure of the zoning code changes that are appropriate in order to be able to move us forward, because I know that there are a lot of different changes that we can make, but understanding the legalities of things and the different options are really important. So that's going to take a level of expertise that I just don't have. So, and that's it.
Any
So
questions
if
for our
anybody has
city
any
manager?
questions about
Who's the
that.
firm that's coming in there to do all this?
They're actually, I was going to go with Heritage Ohio, and actually Heritage Ohio introduced me to a gentleman named Jeff Siegler. So he's an independent consultant that actually worked for Heritage Ohio for 10 years. So he has been working with communities to take a kind of a more individual approach to solving downtown revitalization projects, whereas Heritage Ohio, their main solution is to get communities to be a Main Street community, and I just don't see Bellbrook doing that in the next 5 to 10 years. I think that we need some more creative options as we start this process. There's a number of really strong downtowns that aren't Main Street communities. Yellow Springs is one of those. They aren't a Main Street community, and they're clearly doing a lot of things really well. So I think that there are lessons to be learned without that necessarily being the only solution.
Okay, good, thanks.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for our city manager? Moving on, committee reports. Service, probably not. Safety.
I'd just like to make one note. Fire department we had a fire in Bellbrook several weeks ago. And I had some citizens asked why we had to have 3 different departments respond. And the answer to that is, that's what it takes now. None of those departments around the area have enough people to respond to a fire, so you need the additional departments and the manpower for each of the jobs that has to be done to safely handle a fire. And that's part of the money savings that we have we have a small amount of people and the other departments have a small amount. So so to speak, when the balloon goes up, we all come together, take care of business. They all train together, so it always works well. And I just want to make that note that people understand that that's how they work now. So it's not, when you have 3 departments, doesn't mean it's really bad. It could be, but it's just the way we do it now. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Forrest. Finance and audit, Mr. Schweller.
Mayor, tonight's one of those few nights that instead of spending money, we actually made some money, so I'm happy about that. The
All right.
$35,000 is, certainly well received, and congratulations, city staff, for the presentation and making it happen.
Community fairs.
I'd just like to remind people that we have a rotating exhibit at the Historical Museum. It's on quilts. We do change out the exhibits about 3 times a year there. So come in and see some of your local history. And Chris Ewing has already talked about the community garage sale that's coming up and the garden club plant sale.
She took all your thunder.
Yeah. You'd think I was part of the garden club, wouldn't you? So just those are the things that bring people together and make us a community. So glad to have those. That's it for
That's it. And we survived another Sugar Maple Festival.
Yes.
Okay, moving on. I think we have one other item under new business. Ohio Division of Liquor Control notice new license application for B Team LLC. These I think we're really only going to have an issue with if there's a history there. Is this an actual new license?
So this is really exciting. I don't know if anybody paid attention to the address, but it's the old
Yeah.
Dyer building.
Yep,
Yeah.
I did.
And I've known about this for quite some time, and I've been bursting at the seams.
She
And
could barely hold it in the other day when I asked
Yeah,
her.
I know.
so I've got permission to talk about it now. So the Betancourts, Jessica and her husband Mike, they are the couple that own Bella Baby Photography. So they purchased the building, and they are going to be remodeling it, and it's going to be a small event space, and it's going to be called the Livery. So that's a nod to the actual history of the building, because it was a horse livery back in the day. And so I have all of the elevations for what the building is going to look like, and it's going to be beautiful.
Awesome.
So the back part of it, so the front part of it, where is it's the current office space for Dyer Construction. It's going to be retail and/or office, and I'm not sure if they're moving their office over there or not. I just know that the front part's going to be retail and/or office, but the back part, where it's the large garage door attachment to the building, there's going to be large barn doors that open up in glass that'll go out, and they'll have a small patio out there, and it's going to be beautiful. So I'm really excited. It's going to be an amazing asset to the community, and I can't be more thrilled. So
They did a very nice job on the corner too, so that looks really nice.
How is this going to, I know there was some concern with the service building space. Has that all been worked out?
So I could not get that finished with the previous owner, but when the Betancourts approached us to make sure that what they wanted to do would be feasible with the building before they put in their offer, they did say that they were aware that, we needed that 20 feet off the back, and they assured that that would be no issue, and that they wanted to be good neighbors, and that all of that would be fine. So I trust that that will all be fine.
And with that all coming together, I'm also going to assume that the space between the fence at the museum and the building will be better maintained.
I have
And
a
not a
feeling,
weed patch.
I have a feeling it will be,
Yeah.
because they'll have an outdoor space that's gonna be in that area a bit, so.
Because that's an ugly eyesore next to the gardens at the museum.
They'll be good
Well, that's
neighbors.
exciting news.
Awesome.
I don't know, probably doesn't have a lot to do with the current piece of liquor license in front of us. What do we need to even make a motion on this? I can't remember.
No, it's just an FYI that they're
Okay.
applying for one.
We would make a motion if we wanted to contest something,
Yeah.
so, all right. So
This is awesome.
that is good. Open discussion. Mr. Edwards.
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
I'd just like to thank Chief Doherty for what he handled tonight. He did a very good job.
Yeah.
It was tough. And I'd like to also welcome Eric Mead in his new position for the city. I think that was excellent. Excellent choice. So that's all I have.
Professionally done. So,
Elaine, anything?
Nothing to add, just
Mr. Rowley?
in agreement with what's been said.
Just that the attendance at tonight's meeting is probably the biggest record crowd we've had for something that's friendly
Yeah.
versus a hearing to come in and protest about something or
Dogs.
appeal something. That speaks volumes to the work of Eric Mead and also to the work of Brian Mead. So I'm just happy for both of them. I'm very pleased to see us keep Eric Mead connected with the city.
I am too. I'd like to thank the Mead family, and especially Eric. For those of us who went to the funeral at South, Eric is an amazing speaker.
Yes, he is.
And he's very good at his job, so he will perform very well as a chaplain for the police department, and he will be involved. So very, very happy to see and hear that. That's all I have. This is open to anyone in the audience. You have 5 minutes. Name, address, no serial numbers. Seeing none, is there any other business before council this evening?
No, no, no.
Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned.